Hello, welcome back to another episode of Somewhere Between a Film and TV podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Parra, and number one. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Number two, if you could please down below, like, comment, subscribe. What did you think of Dan Trachtenberg's Predator, Badlands? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere between on it? I want to know. As for myself and everyone else, remember, everything we review here will always have full spoilers, and let's wait a little bit. But, again, from here on out, what is this about? Cast out from its clan, an alien hunter and an unlikely ally embark on a treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary. So, this movie, Predator Badlands, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Predator, the first one, is, of course, I think, and a lot of other people think, so I'm not very special in thinking this, one of the best action movies ever made. Bar none. I mean, it's just a fact. It's one of those things. It's one of those, like, it's a staple. It's a Die Hard. It's a Aliens in terms of the action genre, especially from something that comes out of the 80s. Predator 2 is good. And I would say, I don't really remember it all that well. I just remember that it was on HBO a lot at one point, and that's how I'd seen it. Now, going forward into that, though, there is the AVP entries. There's Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Now, I might have seen the first one at an impressionable enough age that now when I watch it, I'm going to be honest with you, I enjoy it. I think that it's one of those, like, popcorn guilty pleasure things where it's definitely not very good, but it's really hard to come at it from a sense of being able to evaluate it honestly with a critical eye, if you understand what I mean. There's just movies that you see when you're a kid, and you see it again, and you're like, I gotta be honest, like, I don't know what it is. Nostalgia glasses, I saw it at the right time, but I enjoy that movie. Requiem is one of the worst movies ever made, though, and you can't see shit in it, so there is that going for it. But outside of that, then there is Predators, which is very good from my memory, and I might need to become a completionist on this because I have seen The Predator, the Shane Black one, the really bad one as well, but I haven't seen Prey, and I haven't seen Killer of Killers, and that's admittedly my fault. I promise I will, especially after this, because I have my cravings for more Predator things now. Now, if you couldn't tell me based off of what I am saying on this, I thought the trailer for this was kind of bad. I love Dan Trachtenberg, though, don't get me wrong. 10 Cloverfield Lane is a phenomenal movie that I love a lot. And going into this, though, I just didn't like the trailer very much. I thought that it was interesting that they gave away the Weyland-Yutani connection. It just felt like one of those things where you gotta be honest, I can't help it. I can't help but think that I'm alright to be cynical about something like this because of the amount of things that come back and are just pure nostalgia for 2 hours and then they're over. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Ghostbusters comes to mind as one of those things that does not work very well. Or I'm a pretty big defender of Romulus, kind of loved that movie. But here, I want to go ahead and say, dispel any doubt, cast all that aside. This movie, did I love it? Did I hate it? Or am I somewhere between on it? Instantly, right off the bat, something felt different about this. It felt just like pure energy. Like it was just adrenaline seeking right off the bat. This movie kicks off and never ever lets up, and then it's over. It's like an hour 47. If you told me I was in something for 30 minutes, I would have believed you. If you had not told me the runtime and said, okay, it's over now, I would have been like, that's an awesome short film. That's incredible. Nope, that was feature length. I loved this movie. I'm over the moon about it, actually. I loved this movie a lot. It was a pure adrenaline chasing, action scene after scene formatted movie that just never let up, and then of course was over. And it was just absolutely shocking to me how well everything was structured, how well maintained it was. I think that it was, to be quite honest with you, I mean, I have a couple of minor things here and there, but a perfectly crafted 3-act structure movie. It felt like Dan Trachtenberg is not only a fan of this franchise, he wanted to be able to tell a story within the context of this world and really, really emphasize that the world is much bigger than we imagine something like this is. It's why some of the other sci-fi franchises that I will not name, but you know what I'm talking about, fall victim to, where they feel too small because they keep focusing on the same things over and over. Now, recontextualizing that as, I believe they're called the Yautja, that are in this, and that they're this huge collection. They have their own tribes across all these galaxies, across all of these planets, was so smart because it instantly made the world feel so much bigger. We're introduced to it's an underdog story. We're introduced to a Yautja named Dek, who is the runt of the litter and is training at the very beginning of the movie to chase down and hunt his prey. But before he does, of course, there's this thing at the beginning where he's practicing with his brother, they're fighting, and that's where this movie just kicks off right off the bat. It just starts, and it's this lore-based stuff that we learn where they need the cloak. It's their mark that they have captured something, and it's so smart. It's such smart world building that they don't really tell us what's going on. We can just kind of piece things together based off of how they discuss these things, which is such a smart idea to do. And I felt like I was hardly ever, expository dialogue where they're like, hello, my brother, I need this because then I will be a member of the tribe and that will be so great for me and father will approve of me. I think removing that ability for us to connect to them on a quite literally human level and making the dialogue it was a new language, but the Yautja language was really smart because then it never feels expository. It never feels like we're being talked down to. It feels like these really grand ideas that they have, these really grand ideas of respect in their culture, and it felt like really something tangible and something real, that this is a thing that exists for them and then translates to us as something like, okay, this is real. Yeah, no, this is all happening. And I thought that was really, really brilliant to do that. And then it kicks off with a very smart emotional hook right off the bat because the dad comes down, and obviously we have a traditional sense of family. Obviously, if I had a brother, I don't. If he were to kill me, or if he were to kill my dad, that would be, not the best. That would not be amazing. But here, I think the text at the very beginning where it says, they hunt alone, they are a friend to no one, they are the predators. Obviously, setting that up, we know where that's kind of going to go if you've seen the trailer based off of there. And this idea that he grieves and they're not supposed to grieve, but he also wants vengeance, which they also they attribute all of these humane emotions as detractors from them, as negatives. And Dek is very much the runt of the litter in the sense of, I also like that they kind of emphasize next to Elle Fanning, he kind of looks like a similar height as well in there as well. And I think that all of the lore stuff here, it's pretty light on story in terms of everything, all things being considered. But I think that it has such a simple story in terms of, really at the end of the day, if you were to describe it, it kind of sounds like a really, really optimized short story where it's a boy wants to hunt something down to show that he can be accepted into the tribe of his people. That sounds like a universal story that really anybody could connect to. And I think that prefacing that and making a creature that obviously we've identified in so many different movies as the antagonist, and now we're rooting for him. And anytime he's still a predator, he's still tearing things limb from limb. And it's really impressive that they got away with a PG-13 rating on this purely for the simple fact that all of the blood in this is not red. And any of the people in this are Weyland-Yutani Corporation robots. It's such a smart, or synthetic, I'm sorry. It's a really smart way to get around an R rating when you really think about it. If that blood were red, this would be a pretty rated R movie. But hey, manipulate the MPAA rating all you need. I'm in full support of it. But really, mentioning that though, the action in this, the positives, let's really get into it. The positives here, the action is creative and so smart and really, really investing. I think that it's just set piece after set piece of monster movie stuff. It reminded me of not just Skull Island, but the 2005 portion of Skull Island in the Peter Jackson King Kong movie, where here, quite literally everything, the grass, the bushes, the trees, animals, everything there on the planet is there to kill you or there to defend itself. And that's such a great idea. They even call it the Death Planet. He goes to the Death Planet. I like that. They gave the main character here a lot of personality. He has a lot of flaws. He's also kind of arrogant. He's very much I think that a arrogant teenager is a universal concept as well. And he's definitely that in this, where he gets sent down to this Death Planet. He picks probably the hardest thing to kill. He's like, well, that's what I'm going to bring home then. And then he's like, I'm going to go to this planet, which is widely considered to be the worst planet of all of them. I'm going to go there. And like, I just like that the arrogance, even through all of I believe it's prosthetics. If it's not CG, it's either very impressive prosthetics or very impressive CG. Either way, it's both. And I thought that it was so well done. The creature designs here, obviously, especially on the Yautja deck, are incredible and really well done. He has so much expression in his eyes and so much expression in his like mouth as well, considering that you probably have to make them just a little bit more humane so we can identify emotions in them, because I can't quite remember what the other Predators look like in the other movies, but this one definitely feels like it has the most expression about itself. And a lot of the set pieces just stood out in being really well designed and really well executed. I think that the environment tells such a story about these animals that are very much there just out of, this is habit, this is the world. Like the Elle Fanning's character even says, you need to know how to work with the planet in order to survive on it. That's not just about conflict after conflict, you know, that it's very much about working through this planet to understand and go and weave yourself and go through those conflicts. And the action with him is very well done. There's so many great set pieces, even with like trees. There's one where he's fighting these like tentacle things that come out of the trees, and it's so well done. That also reminded me of the Peter Jackson King Kong. And this movie reminded me a lot of, it would not feel out of place if you took this exact story and took the exact same storytelling mechanics. And hear me out on this. I thought that Elle Fanning's character reminded me a lot of the character from God of War that's beheaded in the first PS4 game, where he's carrying the head around and they're talking back and forth, and he's giving him all of this like dialogue about, oh, here's like all of these things that are happening. Mimir, yes, to Kratos. And it's a lot of a really easy way to get story exposition out of the way. You tell me that it doesn't feel like if we were in a third-person game and we were playing a Predator game where it's like all the cutscenes at the beginning and then they send him off to this planet and then he runs into Elle Fanning's character and she's like, this is here because of this. That it literally translates into the same exact type of storytelling mechanic. I was like, watching it, I was like, oh my god, this is God of War, actually. And I also felt like it felt very heavy on anime inspiration as well. It could be because I've been watching a lot of it lately, but it felt very immersed in that specific kind of storytelling in anime and then in God of War. And like, I know that Dan Trachtenberg's a huge fan of Portal. I've seen his short film thing about it. And it felt like that idea that we talk about where people say that, hey, is there only so many things you can do with this franchise? Like, let's take Jurassic Park, for example, where it was the same thing over and over. It's like, is this really all you can do? And for a while there, Predator was, here's a group of humans, and here's a whole idea of they got to fight the Predator. The Predator's hunting them. The Predator is hunting this, and the humans are getting in the way or aiding it. And that specific type of story was done 1, 2, 3, 4, who knows how many times at this point. This felt like the plot of something that you would have found in like one of those 2D, you know what I mean when I say this, like animatrix type of things, like 2D here, like, oh, here's this awesome underrated thing that not a lot of people saw because it was animated, but they went all out on this. They made it story of the Yautja, and they made him the main character. We gotta respect that, like a long time considered villain antagonist, and reframing it in an underdog story to make him the protagonist is a really, really clever and neat idea, I think. And the world here, it felt so much like, also like a combination of Avatar, and I think that he said Horizon Zero Dawn was in there somewhere, which makes sense. But the creature designs, even for is it the Callus? I believe that was the name of it. But there's like this little kind of like monkey creature that looks like a monkey that's in this, that ties into this as well, in terms of like having emotional exploration of Deck's character. But I thought that was all really clever, and I ended up just being really swept away in this movie for the amount of time that it was on screen. I thought that the music was propulsive, and it felt so like percussive and epic in terms of the story that it was being told. But really, at the end of the day, it's a pretty simple, like, intimate story about wanting to achieve the utmost that you can to prove something to somebody. That somebody being, you know, your kind of asshole dad that he has in this. And haven't even talked about this yet. Elle Fanning is amazing in this. She kind of provides this. She's doing a dual role thing, which I know a lot of other people have said this. There's a lot of those this year. There's been Sinners, Mickey 17, that one Robert De Niro movie that nobody saw. This, and honestly, Alto Nights, is that what it's called? Brilliant. Again, another brilliant performance. I really like her as this like comedic relief, kind of like she just can't stop talking type of character. This movie at this point has even taken some things that have become cliche in the past few years and has kind of made them feel fresh, whether it be the little side adorable character, or whether it be the comic relief that can't stop talking and is like overanalyzing everything and just won't stop. But there was a charm to this. I think it just felt like a pure place of somebody who loved the franchise and was so excited to tell the story that they were wanting to tell. It felt just purely fresh out of the idea of wanting to tell a story and then using that world as the basis to tell that story. Because then by the time you get to the third act, the final showdown, because he does finally claim his prey, and it turns out it's Elle Fanning as the trophy, not the one that we're with, but the one that they end up fighting against. And the father's like, you're a disgrace. And then as one of those things, I do not talk very much in a theater, but I was like, oh, finally, when it happened, because the fight, you end up having so much emotional investment at this point, and you're like, this is awesome. I cannot wait to see how this goes. And then he does kill him, and it ends on an absolutely absurd cliffhanger where it made me realize just how invested I was, where the cliffhanger is that he's like, oh, they're like, are those friends of yours? Like, no, that's my mom. And then it just ends right there because he does kill the dad, and then the dad's obviously gone, and so is his brother at this point. And yes, I need to know where this is going to go from here. It made me realize, tell this story. I don't care if Deck is the main character of like 5 more of these. I ended up being so invested in this story and everything that was happening, and I really liked I couldn't help but laugh about the whole like alpha male thing, because they were talking about wolves, but that's just me being on the internet too much. And they would believe in something like that, though, this group of the predators. But I also did like that it kind of ended up being an analysis of that specific type of mentality, and ended up being like, what is the point in doing? I thought they were going to say Sigma at some point, I'm not going to lie to you, but it's like, what's the point in being the lone wolf or whatever it really is, when you could also have people that, hey, if you had friends, they could help you, and then you wouldn't be in this specific type of position that you're in. You don't have to. There's a difference between surviving alone and living to survive, to have a reason to survive, which involves other people as well. And I like that it had a sort of moral tale, a theme that ties into very much what felt like a classic old school story. Like I said earlier, even just it being a boy has to hunt down his prey to be accepted into his tribe. That could be put into so many different specific types of settings and stories, that I liked how kind of malleable that was, and the basis of it being so simple allows you to have so much emotional connection to the protagonist by the end of it. And yeah, of course the action is awesome. It's so cool. The monsters and the abilities to I mean, don't get me wrong, I love action scenes, but the use of different weapons, the use of he is a predator, so watching him piece together things that are around him to use as weapons, because he basically gets nerfed at the beginning of the movie when he lands on this planet with absolutely nothing. Tell me that that's not a video game thing, honestly. And he has to piece together and get weapons little by little, and has a partner that narrates and where to go in terms of all the things that are around along the way. That just sounds like, straight up, if you told me that the original basis for this was like a third person action like series for Predator to be in a PlayStation thing, I would have believed you. I fully would have believed that. And this feels like something that also would have an amazing tie-in game if it came out in like 2010. But really, I was astonished by pretty much how I was caught up in it right off the bat. I went from kind of like being like, I've heard it's really, really good, but we'll see, I guess. I want to be one of those people that also loves it. And before that, even knowing anything about it, I was like, the trailer kind of sucks. But no, this movie's awesome. This movie was just pure shot of so much fun. It's so fun. It's emotionally investing. The action is incredible and well orchestrated. It's also very funny when it needs to be. It is also dark when it needs to be. And one high compliment I can give it is the fan service in this is tasteful, really well done, and not in your face at all. I love the Alien franchise. I also love the Weyland-Yutani synthetics. The fact that they're in this and there's no mention of like, ooh, there was this other species we were hunting down, something called a xenomorph or anything like that. The urge is there, and I know it's there. I'm sure that there was something somewhere that they had to include, but they were like, no, let's cut this. It felt like such an isolated story. It didn't make the world feel small, and I don't know if they're like heading towards another AVP or something like that, but hey, have Deck to root for, I will be there, like day one. He was such an awesome character. So was Elle Fanning, so was his new kind of like friend that he hangs out with. But really, the world building here was incredible. The settings and the world in terms of the like desert landscape thing that all of the Yautja live on that he was from, and that planet itself, the Death Planet, was so cool. Overall, I thought this movie was great. Really, really great, honestly. Maybe it was my own like set of expectations or whatever being, all the way down there. This movie is awesome. It kicked ass. I thought it was so much fun. I can't really remember what our other action movies that came out this year. I suppose Ballerina. But pure action, this might be the best one. It was such a surprise for me. I loved it. I really did. I was just like, I had a huge grin on my face when I realized how much I was loving it. Then it was just over. And I was like, I'll see this again. I'll see this again today, honestly. I loved it a lot. If I were to give it any kind of negatives, I suppose it does kind of deal with the expository dialogue thing a little bit. And maybe this is a negative. I could have gone for a little bit more action, just a little bit more. I mean, that's kind of a silly complaint considering that the whole thing is action. I think I just meant I love being in this world. I could have taken being more and more of it. Hey, not even action. Maybe another like just emotionally like resonant scene of them talking to each other. I thought they had such great motivations. I thought that the action again was phenomenal. It looked beautiful. Another con, I guess, nothing against the movie itself. Not necessary to watch in 3D. Thought it would be. I mean, movie looked amazing enough on its own. It's that didn't really add a whole lot, but it's still one of the most like visually stunning movies of the year. Yeah, I loved it. I'm going to give it a score. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. 2 for 2 on that score this week. I loved this so much. Have you seen Predator? Badlands? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere between on it? Again, that was awesome. It kicked ass. I loved it a lot. It was just one of those pure like, yeah, this is a blockbuster at the end of the day. But it's a perfectly executed blockbuster at that. And up next is going to be... Ooh, I'm excited for this one too. The Running Man. That looks awesome. I'm super excited for that. Stay tuned for that. Again, Remember to subscribe if you want to stick around and see everything else we talk about. I want to talk about Predator Badlands with you. What did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere between on it? Let me know down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll see you next time.